Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video here on the channel, and in today's video we're starting off a new series. It's going to be the most haunted places all across the world, and we're going to be taking a look at them one by one and taking a deep dive into each location. The first location we're doing is in the UK. It's of 30 East Drive, the Black Monk House, if you want to call it that. And what it is, it's a normal little council house. You wouldn't think anything of it, but as you sort of take a deep dive into it, you see all these paranormal activities, all these poltergeist sort of experiences, and you really think, what is happening in this house? And this house is a very good example of what people think paranormal is, because you do get a lot of people saying it's fake. You get a lot of people saying it's the next door neighbour. You get a lot of people are saying it's just kids playing up for the camera sort of thing. You know, they're knocking on the windows, they're causing a mockery of this place. And then you get stories of the actual ghosts, of the Black Monk, of this little child called Emily. And we're gonna take a look at each ghost, and we're gonna fully look at what is happening inside this house. So without further ado, let's get into the video and take a deep dive into 30 East Drive. So it all starts off when the first sort of family moves in to the house, and the family is the Pritchard family. There's Joan and Joe, who are the parents, and then Philip, who's 15, and Diane, who's 12. And they move in August 1966. And for the first couple of days, obviously stuff starts happening straight away as soon as they enter the house, but it's sort of the slow, oh, a light's turned on, oh, this TV's playing up. It's sort of that tiny little things that can be explained by something else. You know, it could be faulty wiring, it could be the pipes, stuff that can be debunked. I'm not saying it's fake, but what I'm saying is that it can be debunked. But I want to talk about one specific event that happened at the beginning. So I think Philip, or one of the aunties, I think Philip's auntie, she went out into the kitchen to get some cleaning supplies for some chalk that fell from the ceiling, and noticed a little pool of water. And it's very weird, because it mysteriously appeared, and there wasn't really any explanation for it. It was just this really weird pool of water on the floor. When she went and she got a mop, and when she came back, there was more. She cleaned it all up, and there was more. It was almost like they were appearing right in front of her eyes, just coming up through the floor, sort of appearing, all these little, you know, little pools of water just appearing. Very, very weird. And I don't have an explanation for it. I really, really don't. But this was just the beginning, and you'll see as we get earlier on, there's stories of green foam appearing from taps and in like toilets. And we're not talking about water, we're talking about foam that's green. Really, really, really weird. And, you know, cupboards shaking violently, photos being slashed by knives. knives is a recurring aspect of this house. Maybe we'll go into it later on, but knives are a very big thing in this house. In 1968, the local press got involved. They were hearing about 30 East Drive. They were hearing about all these stories coming out of pools of water miraculously appearing, and they dubbed this house, or the ghost in this house should I say, by the name of Mr. Nobody. Now, the local press referred to it, and Britain known it as Mr. Nobody. However, the family refused to call it by this name, and he referred to this poltergeist simply as Fred, as it was sort of a way of normalising it, or normalising this ghost. They called it Fred, the public called it Mr. Nobody. But no matter what Joan did, she pleaded, and I mean like to the heavens, pleaded to get rid of this ghost. She asked the ghost, she was shouting out in the house, just leave, please leave my family alone, leave us in peace. But as the events continued and it started to get worse, Jean, I've been calling Joan the whole time, Jean, I'm gonna have to put a little disclaimer up at the beginning, it's Jean. I believe Joan actually is the neighbour. I'm fascinated with this case. So many names in this case. Jean Pritchard is the person that's living in the house. She actually refused to be terrorized out of her house by this entity. It even got to a point where Jean hired some exorcists to come and bleach the walls with holy water, but it wouldn't work. The ghost would just come back and slap their faces. This ghost was evil. I mean, he even fought off exorcists who were trying to, get this ghost out, but he didn't have it. And in fact, there was this very strange and very famous story of the little girl, Diane, I believe her name was, being pushed and pulled up the stairs by Fred's hand, and this would appear out of nowhere. And the thing is, they really fought with this ghost. They sang Christian songs aimed at shooting him off. They wore women's fur gloves, and some of, you could say, Fred's antics were very amusing and very interesting. Like when he calmly poured an entire jug of milk he removed from the fridge over a skeptical aunt, leaving the kids in stitches. This ghost was playing jokes on people that didn't believe in him, and sort of, playing up to the kids and making the kids laugh. Now, ordinarily, poltergeists aren't known for causing grievous bodily harm. However, this is where it gets a little bit worse. Fred caused few, and although he caused few bruises, and a lot of heart-stopping scares, and this was in particular to Diane, who was sort of the focus of the haunting. It was rare for this poltergeist to become excessively violent and cause physical harm. However, but in the case of Fred, that indeed became the case. Later on, of the Pritchard family living in this house, both Philip and Diane were beginning to exit adolescence, and the activity grew to a worsening height. Diane's long hair, standing on its own, followed her being dragged up the stairs while she's kicking and screaming. She got dragged by this malevolent force up the stairs, and it's an event that left her traumatized, and she clearly had visible finger marks on her throat from when she got pulled up the stairs. So very, very shocking stories coming out about this ghost, and it's very, very eerie to read about, and especially when I was doing my research, all the different stuff that you come across, just very, very violent things, like especially later on in their residency. And it does make this house to be feared, I must admit. Let's get into the next part of this video. Now, our next part, where is the story of 30 East Drive now? As of now, you can... It's almost like an Airbnb where you can hire it out for the night, and they're saying it's the worst sleepover you'll ever have. However, when you look in some YouTube videos or a quick Google search will tell you that a lot of the paranormal activity there has died down. Now, you could take this two ways. You could take it as the events that happened were over-exaggerated or weren't real, or you could take it the way that maybe the ghosts that are at this house are sick of people coming in and asking, who's there? Is there anybody there? And they just want to live their lives in this house that they think is theirs. They just want to, they're sick and tired of the same sort of people coming in and ghost hunting, which I think ghost hunting, that name, is a horrible name to call it. It's paranormal investigating is what you're doing. Ghost hunting, it sounds like you're the Ghostbusters and you come in with this giant laser gun and you're trying to shoot the ghost. No, you're trying to figure out is there an afterlife, and are ghosts real? That's what you're trying to do, and you're trying to speak to ghosts when you go to paranormal investigations. And most of the time you don't get what you're expecting. You don't get that big, oh, someone's pushed me, or a knife has been thrown. You don't get that because that's just not what the house is. That's not what the ghosts do. You don't get that. It's mind-boggling to me that people think when you go to haunted places, you're gonna get killed. You're not. Majority of the time, the ghosts just don't want to speak to you, and majority of the time, the ghosts are sick and tired of people coming to this house and asking, is anybody there? They just want to live their lives. Now, why do people come there? And it's obviously because of the advertising and the amount of fame it's got, from the movie, from countless of TV shows going there. I remember back in, like, I think 2015, Most Haunted went there for and they've done multiple parts there, and they said, they captured so much poltergeist and evidence of ghosts, so they captured knives being thrown around, he got pulled up the stairs, they passed out, and it's just not the case. I think when people go there now, all they'll get is the bangs, all they'll get is it will be real ghost experiences, but it won't be this hyped up what you see in TV shows anymore, because that's just not the case. That's not what happens at haunted places. Arguably, it can happen at the worst of the worst haunted places, but majority of places that you go to will be dull. And you can see this from another haunted place in the UK that I'm sure we'll cover on the channel soon, the Jamaica Inn. You can see this. Nothing happens. Yeah, you'll get the odd bang, you'll get the odd clatter, you'll get the odd object being thrown, but it won't be what it's hyped up to be, what TV shows have hyped it up to be, this big, oh my god, a knife's been thrown, our lives are at danger. No, they won't. You just want views, you just want money, you just want people to go there and exploit the ghosts for what they are. And that's the main problem at the minute with 30 East Drive, or the Black Monk House as people call it. That's the main problem. And if you go over to someone, you say, what is the Black Monk House? You'll hear them say, this really bad house where you might get killed if you go in. And it just isn't the case. You're talking about, this innocent little house that stuff happened to it when it was earlier. When it was, early on. When it's just been built, pretty much. And it's just not what it is anymore. Reasons for that. I've already said the reasons for that. And it could just be that the ghosts are drained. They just want to relax and they don't want anyone speaking to them. Or of course it could be that it's fake. And multiple reasons that it is fake. You can read it all online. People say that the next door neighbour is banging on the walls. People say that, it's teenagers outside that just want to ruin it for everyone and just want to bang on windows and bang on the door and scare people. There's multiple theories relating around this house, and I just don't think it's true. I really don't. I think it is haunted. It really is haunted, but not like people think it is. When you go to 30 East Drive, I believe you won't get that knives being thrown and pulling up the stairs. You won't get that. Probably because the ghosts are drained and they're sick and tired of these people coming in there and saying, come throw a knife at me, come and do this. That's not what you'll get. And and I'm sure if you approach and say, I respect you, please come and talk, I'm sure you'll get the answers that you want. But not when you come in the house and you say, do something to me. Because you're losing their respect and they won't do it. And That's the number one problem that I have with this house at the minute, is that people think everything's gonna happen when it really isn't. Anyway, that's my sort of rant over. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like the video if you've enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye for now.